Modal verbs. Should, ought to, must, have to. In previous lesson, we introduced the modal verbs, may, might, can, could, and must. Do you remember any other modal verbs? Modal verbs are used to express ideas, such as possibility, intention, obligation, and necessity. For example, you can have a sweet if you like. John will be a footballer someday. The modal verbs are can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, ought to, will, would, can. Examples: they can control their own budgets. We can't fix it. Can I smoke here? Can you help me? Could. Examples: could I borrow your dictionary? Could you say it again more slowly? We could try to fix it ourselves. I think we could have another Gulf War. He gave up his old job so he could work for us. May. Examples: may I have another cup of coffee? China may become a major economic power. Might. Example: they might give us a 10% discount. Must. Examples: we must say goodbye now. They mustn't disrupt the work more than necessary. Ought to. Example: we ought to employ a professional writer. Shall. Examples: shall I help you with your luggage? Shall we say 2:30 then? Shall I do that, or will you? Should. Examples: we should sort out this problem at once. I think we should check everything again. Profits should increase next year. Will. Examples: I can't see any taxis so I'll walk. I'll do that for you if you like. I'll get back to you first thing on Monday. Profits will increase next year. Would. Examples: would you mind if I brought a colleague with me? Would you pass the salt please? Would you mind waiting a moment? Would 3 o'clock suit you? That would be fine. Would you like to play tennis this Friday? Would you prefer tea or coffee? I'd like tea please. The modal auxiliary verbs are always followed by the base form. Obligation and advice. We can use verbs, such as must or should, to say when something is necessary or unnecessary, or to give advice. For example, children must do their homework. We have to wear a uniform at work. You should stop smoking. Should. In British English, the simple conjugation with the auxiliary should is often used in subordinate clauses stating conditions. This construction is usually used to refer to events that may occur by chance. For example, if I should see him, I will tell him what I think. Should is also used with the meaning ought to. This is the most common use of should in American English. For example, you should take an umbrella with you, in case it starts to rain. I should answer his letter as soon as possible. Ought is said to be a defective verb, since it has no infinitive, or present, or past participle. It does not modify, but has the same form regardless of the subject. Ought can be used only in combination with other verbs. Unlike the modal auxiliaries, which are followed by the bare infinitive, ought is followed by the infinitive of whatever verb it accompanies. In each of the following examples, ought is underlined, and the infinitive which follows it is printed in bold type. You ought to take an umbrella with you. He ought to stop smoking. They ought to drive more carefully. Expressions, which are synonymous with the modal auxiliaries. The modal verbs can be used only as auxiliaries. They cannot be used on their own. They are defective, since they have no infinitive, or present, or past participle. Because the modal auxiliaries are defective, they cannot be combined with one another. Thus, the fact that the English future tenses are formed with the modal auxiliaries, will and shall, means that the other modal auxiliaries cannot be put into the future. When it is desired to put the ideas expressed by the modal auxiliaries into the future, synonymous expressions must be used. The following are the synonymous expressions most often used: can, be able to, may, be allowed to, must, have to. The following examples illustrate how synonymous expressions may be used when it is desired to put the modal auxiliaries, can, may and must, into the future. I can work. I will be able to work. You may work. You will be allowed to work. He must work. He will have to work. Rewrite the following sentences, putting the underlined verbs into the future. For example, they can explain the situation to us. They will be able to explain the situation to us. May they leave whenever they wish? Will they be allowed to leave whenever they wish? She must obtain a license. She will have to obtain a license. She can describe it to you. She will be able to describe it to you. You must lock the doors when you leave. You will have to lock the doors when you leave. He can follow the instructions. He will be able to follow the instructions. May they stay overnight? Will they be allowed to stay overnight? We must remember to buy groceries. We will have to remember to buy groceries. She can finish the work on time. She will be able to finish the work on time. Must he take his glasses with him? Will he have to take his glasses with him? Can they buy the tickets in advance? Will they be able to buy the tickets in advance? She must learn to be more careful. She will have to learn to be more careful. You may choose your own seat. You will be allowed to choose your own seat. Common mistakes in modal verb usage. If the workers are sick, they must stay home and rest. If the workers are sick, they must stay home and rest. The second sentence is correct. In this way children can learn from what they have done. In this way children can learning from what they have done. The first sentence is correct. Common errors when using English modal verb structures. The following modal auxiliary verbs are followed by the infinitive without to: can, could, may, might, must, shall, should, will, would. For example, when traveling, we should respect the customs of the countries we visit. Not should to respect, should respecting. Modal verbs form questions and negatives, without using do. Can I help you? Not, do I can help you? Will you meet me when I arrive? Not, do you will meet me? You mustn't worry about me. Not, you do not must worry about me. When we talk about obligation or necessity, using have or need, we use to plus infinitive. I have to finish my assignment this weekend. I need to talk to you. In questions and negatives, have to and need to behave like normal verbs, and we use do. For example, do you have to pay extra for breakfast? Not, have you to pay. They said I don't need to bring my own sleeping bag. Not, I needn't to bring. Which sentence is correct? Nowadays, you can find internet facilities in most hotels. We shouldn't accept this situation any longer. If we want to fix this problem, we must try our best to change our attitude. We don't have to stop using cars altogether, but we do have to use them less often. Can we solve the problem of greenhouse gases in our lifetime? Do you have to take any food or drink with you, or are there shops there? You really must study harder if you want to pass the exam. In my school we have to switch our mobile phones off in class. Now do the exercise to test yourself. Bye. Exercise. Many students wrote letters to the editor of the school newspaper about the verdict of the mock trial. However, the editor does not have time to correct them all. Help him proofread the following letters. Write the corrections above the misused modal verbs, and insert any missing words he has marked. Dear Editor, how can you claim that our school's mock trial was a success, when everyone knows that teenagers will always side with their friends? In particular, I was bothered by the article you published in last week's edition, where you claimed we can all learn a lot about the legal process by taking part in mock trials. This trial was a joke and you ought to have said so. What we should learn, but didn't, is that in a real trial, a member of a jury mustn't know the people involved in the trial. A trial, even a mock one, where the jury members are friends with the plaintiff and defendant, cannot be a fair one. Your writers ought to have mentioned this problem with mock trials in the article. Mike Lee.